City Power says it decided to cut off electricity to Tshepisong township west of Johannesburg following threats against its technicians who were there to remove illegal electricity connections. These are live visuals coming to you from that location west of Johannesburg. The residents are processing there, and I can see police seemingly firing rubber bullets at the crowd. Let's see if we can get the latest now from our reporter, Kelvin Dludla, who is at the scene for us. Kelvin, if you can hear me, talk to us. What can you tell us?
Good afternoon to you and to our SABC viewers at home. As you can see, our video journalist Tulo showing you protesters. They are protesting for electricity. They are saying that they have been without electricity for almost a week now. So now they have decided to take onto the streets. And earlier we were told that they blockaded the freeway here, and the traffic came into a standstill. So now they took a break during the day, but now they have reassembled. As you can see, police officials are trying to disperse them, firing rubber bullets. I can tell you that now they are gathering. There are a lot of people that are coming in here. As you can see, Tulo Munare showing you that those protesters now are trying to disperse, but still they are pelting police with stones. Police are firing them with rubber bullets. It's a difficult situation here, because I can tell you now that even those who are coming from work or coming from different places, they are here now. They have joined in this protest. They are saying that they want City Power to come and install electricity here, because now they are struggling. Some of them are even telling SABC News that it's difficult for them to live without electricity. One of the residents that I spoke to when we arrived here told us that she missed an interview yesterday because her phone was off. She didn't manage to go to that interview because she didn't get a call. Police are trying by all means to calm down the situation, as Tulo Monare showing you community members still protesting. I just want to tell you that they have called a backup here. A lot of cars are coming in. Johannesburg Metro Department officials and the members of the South African police units, they are here just to make sure that the situation is calm. Earlier, when we were driving to here with my colleague, we spoke to Mr. Isaac Mangena. Mr. Isaac Mangena speaks for City Power. He explained why the situation is like this, saying that officials from City Power were here to see or to monitor electricity, and the problem was that most of these people are not paying electricity, so they had to disconnect. And Mangena saying that some of the officials from City Power had a problem, experienced problems here, because according to Mr. Mangena, some of the officials, almost 10 officials, were kidnapped, were held in ransom by some of the residents. They were assisted though by the members of the Johannesburg Metropolis Department. So what I can tell you before I wrap, because of time, is that the situation is getting more volatile in this area. Community members gathering or reassembling, and they are telling us that they are just waiting for police officers to leave in this area so that they can be able to block this road.
Kelvin, I'm going to allow our viewers to continue watching your visuals. But before I let you go, Kelvin, of course, this is not the first such protest we are seeing in Johannesburg. On Monday, similar scenes we saw in Tembisa. Of course, their residents too complaining about soaring tariffs when it relates to electricity. This seems to be an ongoing problem as far as residents and community members are concerned. Did you manage to speak to any of the officials on the ground there in terms of just how they are managing this particular situation that seems very tense at the moment?
Unathi, from the police officials, I can tell you that we didn't manage to speak to them because they have their spokesperson. You would know that when you need to need to speak to SABC in Gauteng, you have to involve the Colonel Dimakato Nebuli, or you have to involve Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo or Brigadier Brenda Mridili. I'm talking about those who are officially speaking for the South African Police Service. So officials are not allowed to speak to the media, otherwise they will be disciplined. You know that when you want to speak to JMPD, you will need to speak to Superintendent Fihla. Unfortunately, all those officials are not here, so it's difficult for us to get an official comment or to solicit an official comment from law enforcers. But we spoke to the community members who are saying that they have been trying by all means to involve their ward councillor. Their ward councillor is nowhere to be found in this area. They tried to call him so that he can be able to assist them with this issue, but unfortunately he is not responding. As you have mentioned, Unathi, that this has become a norm, especially in Johannesburg. You'd remember that we covered the story, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Soweto, in Meadowlands a few weeks ago. It was the same situation, community members protesting against the power utility, now Eskom, saying that they have been without electricity for months, and then, as you have mentioned, Tembisa in Eguruleni as well, and now we're in the West Rand. The same thing is taking place. But if you follow, there are similar situations here. Most of these residents are not paying for electricity. They are not paying for electricity, and you would know that City Power just decided that they will start a campaign where they will disconnect. You'll remember that if last week, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the city of Johannesburg, where they were accompanied by some of the city of Johannesburg officials. They were disconnecting electricity. They were disconnecting businesses who are not paying for electricity. So they are here. When I spoke to Mr. Mangena, who speaks for City Power, he did mention that they are in a campaign, a trail where they are disconnecting businesses and residential areas that are not paying for electricity, something that is not dwelling well with community members. It's difficult. It's a difficult situation here, and you can see that the traffic now is getting more and more into disarray. You would say now, I'm not sure if my colleague can be able to show you police officials are just now trying to control traffic because now residents are getting more closer and closer to this road. But for now, let me say back to you in studio. But as SABC News, we are here live. We are monitoring the situation. As you can see, our live visuals, Chulo Munare, showing you police officials firing rubber bullets. When we spoke to them off the record, they told us that they are doing night shift. They are not going anywhere. They will be here up until midnight monitoring the situation.
And Calvin, we're going to stay on those visuals just for the benefit of our viewers, given that this is, of course, the breaking news story of the hour. Police firing rubber bullets at protesting community members in Tshepisong, a township that's west of Johannesburg. As you can see, of course, those live visuals there, and our reporter Calvin Dludla on the ground with a video journalist Tulo Monare. This is a live situation there. Of course, those visuals might come to you very shaky. It would be because Tulo Monare is obviously running and getting you the best coverage there for you, obviously on that handheld camera. A very tough situation there as we bring you these breaking news story. Of course, those live scenes there from the Tshepisong township. As we've been in conversation with Calvin, this is not the first protest of its kind that we've seen in Johannesburg in as far as electricity concerns are related to some of those issues. Calvin saying that City Power saying it's decided to cut off electricity at Tshepisong township west of Johannesburg following those threats against its technicians who are there to remove illegal electricity connections, illegal connections being a problem not only in that area, but also in a number of areas in Johannesburg. Calvin, if I can bring you back in, if you can hear me, just speak to me in terms of when you arrived at the scene, how many of those community members did you see protesting? I can see they've now advanced back. We're seeing police officers seemingly standing on the main road where you were saying that there are threats to the vehicles there that are passing by at that area. Of course, concerns also given that it is probably also peak traffic at this time or nearing peak traffic. Just give us a sense in terms of when you arrived at the scenes, what are some of the things that you saw? All right, it seems that Calvin cannot hear us at this point in time, but that is our reporter on the ground, Calvin Ludla, as well as visuals brought to you by our video journalist, Tulo Monare. They are out there at the scene. Those protests, it would seem, started early this morning, as far as Calvin was reporting early on, subsided a little bit later on before resuming again about an hour's time. Just moments ago, of course, we saw a number of police officials firing rubber bullets at the crowd. It would seem that most of them have now backed into the houses nearby. That's, of course, in Tshepisong township. That's west of Johannesburg. This is where we are bringing you these live visuals and this breaking news story of the hour, police firing rubber bullets at community members frustrated over the issues of electricity. We're hearing, of course, that City Power officials were at the scene at the moment and before the protest began, saying that they were there, to cut off electricity to the township west of Johannesburg, following those threats against its technicians who were there to remove illegal electricity connections. Calvin managed to speak to some of the residents there, just complaining about the exorbitant electricity prices in the area. We also reported earlier on about another volatile situation that happened in Tembisa, not too far from the east side of Johannesburg, of course, where residents there too blocked the main roads with debris, with stones, with burning tires. We brought you those scenes earlier this week. Not too long ago from this particular incident. There too, police fired rubber bullets to clear the blockades while the residents retaliated. A lot of vehicles were damaged during that particular protest. Torch tires were also hurled at moving motorists. Tembisa residents accused their police officers of using unnecessary force. We'll hear, of course, from Calvin just in terms of how the police are monitoring this situation in this particular area. Calvin, if you can hear me, give us a sense of what's happening now. We see residents, of course, throwing stones at what it would look like police officers.
Unati, as you can see now, residents are throwing stones to police officers, and unfortunately for us, we are not far from them. Some of the stones are even passing next to us, but we will try by all means to make sure that we cover ourselves. Tulo Munare showing you residents there protesting, throwing stones. As you can see, the number, Unati, is getting more and more bigger. People assembling, gathering to say, and now they just want to make sure that they join this freeway so that they can be able to burn tires and blockade it with heavy stone. So that is why police officers are here on this freeway. They are preventing these residents to come in here, because if it can happen, Unati, that these residents are here, they can be able to blockade this road, and there will be a heavy traffic here. So that is the situation that is taking place here. Earlier, I did mention that the reason why residents are protesting is because they are telling SABC News that they have not been without electricity. They have been without electricity for almost 8 days now. Some of them even saying that that has been their struggle for months. And as I have mentioned earlier, that we spoke to Isaac Mangena, who did tell us that the reason was that they are on a campaign trail, City Power disconnecting those who are not paying for electricity, be it businesses, be it residential areas. I just want to see, because there is a car that is trying to gain entry in that street. I just want to see how are they going to react towards it. Okay, Unati, they are not doing anything to it. They are still throwing stones to police officials. Most of them are from the South African Police Service. Some of them that we spoke to, they told us that they are coming from as far as Johannesburg. They are coming from as far as Randburg. They are coming from as far as Florida. They have been told or deployed to come and monitor this situation. I don't know if you can be able to hear some of the residents. They are shouting to police officers saying hambala, hambala. They are telling them to leave, as they are saying that police officials are disturbing them because they want to continue with this operation of closing this road so that the traffic can be able to be at a standstill. Unati.
Kevin, of course, we can see the residents who had earlier retreated into those houses are now coming out, it would seem. Well, just to our viewers, if you've just joined us, you're now seeing a standoff between police officers and residents of Tshepisong township, that's west of Johannesburg. It is a breaking news story here on the SABC News channel. For the past half an hour or so, we've been seeing police officers firing rubber bullets at the residents who've been throwing stones at police officers, as you can see there with those visuals. Our reporters, Calvin Dludla and video journalist Tolo Monare on the ground there as the situation, it would seem, starting to become volatile again at this moment. Calvin was there earlier on saying that the situation was calmer following earlier protests in the morning. Now we're seeing, Calvin, if you can still hear me, police approaching those protesters, going into the crowd. Perhaps you can speak to what you're hearing there, Calvin.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I have to take this video. Hi. I'm good. How are you?
As you can see, police officials now, they have managed to gain entry there on that street. We apologize for those shaky visual. Our video journalist Tulo Monar is trying to follow those police officers, and we are trying to get closer to this situation as police officers now are getting into this residential area. They are after those who are protesting. They are after those who are throwing stones to them. And as you can see, that this place is a mess now, Unati. I can tell you, where we are walking, we are actually jumping tires and heavy stones. I just want to check if we can be able to see where are these police officers. Okay, they are here, and some of them are even coming back, shooting to the residents. We just need to be more careful because we might find ourselves in a very difficult situation. We need to be more careful. But some of the officials, as you can see, Tulo Monare showing you as they are coming back now. Sanbonani, Ninjani. Siyaphila ngizama nje ukuthi singakwazi ukuthi sikhulume nani siza ukuthi kahle kahle kwenze njani la ngicela usondele baba nayi bheka ikamera ibhekele
uyabona lo mfana lo uhamba nge-wheelchair efuna umhlakasi yanithola and then njengoba afuna umhlakasi akanawo umhlakasi thina asilwi njengoba vele singalwi thina mara siyakhala
anilwi nina manje bathi inkinga yokubazo disconnect ukuthi bathani khokhi
asikhokhi abanye abakhokhi babona nabo abahlala endlini abakhokhi
so nana nikhokhi
thina sisenzele njengoba vele ngeke ngihlale nomfana anganamhlakasi ngiyochargewa lapha ngichargewe umfana lo hlala lo zalelwa la anganawo umhlakasi
ingalungiseka kanjani lento
inkinga nje ukuthi ilungisho ukuthi kumele at least basifake ama-box nje sithenge ke
niyafuna ukuthenga
safuna ukuthenga
nike nami ingeje kodwa usithi power ngale nkinga eninayo
isithi power ayisinikeza ama-box
banlaleli
asinikeza ama-box and then sikhona ukuthenga.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Unati, those were some of the residents that were speaking isiZulu, saying that they are trying it hard. It's difficult for them to be without electricity, saying that they have been without electricity for days, saying that they know very well that they are not paying electricity. They know very well that they do not pay, but what they are saying is that they are willing to pay. They just want City Power to engage them properly so that they can find ways to solve this matter. You see these police officers that Tulo Monare is showing you, those are the officers that are trying by all means to calm down the situation. They have arrested someone. I don't know if Tulo can be able to see us. Baba Sabon, wenze njani? Bathi wenzeni baba?
Bangithathe ukuthi sigijima nabantu.
Bakuthathele ukuthi ni?
Sigijima nabantu.
Umgijima nabantu nyaphi?
Strike la.
Strike elani manje uyabona ukuthi usuboshiwe? Ukuthi uthinike njengoba usuboshiwe nje. Uzokwenza njani? Uneminyaka emingaki? 19. So njengoba ustrike uyabona ukuthi beni strike anibaningi sekuboshwe wena manje. Into ozoyenza njani ke lo uzokwenza njani ke manje?
Ngaso.
Awuna gesi. Usenibe nesikhathi singakanani ningana gesi?
5 days.
Angisho
5 days.
5 days. Okay. So unibone ukuthi mhlambe le ndlela le enenza ngayo yokuthi nishaya imoto ngamatshe izinto lezi indlela eright yokwenza lokho.
Ngishaya ngimoto.
Awushaya ngimoto wena?
Yeah.
Baba wenzeni la ukhona nokwenzeni?
Oh.
Yeah. Indaba nishaya imoto.
Indaba nishaya imoto ngamatshe. Okay, now he doesn't want to speak now. Now, as you can see, he has been handcuffed. He's been handcuffed, and police officer is leading him to one of the van. So we are just following them. I would think that this is their first today, and can see some of the residents are even shouting now, saying to police officers, "Hamban nolala," telling them to go and sleep and leave them alone so that they can be able to continue Unati with this strike. I can tell you that the situation is becoming more volatile. I just want to monitor this gentleman that has been arrested. I want to see where are they taking him to. We have to wait now for traffic because this is a freeway. Baba, nimusa kuphi? Angizwa baba. Kuphi? Nimusa road port. Oh, okay, the police officer is confirming that they are taking this suspect to road port. police station. So that is where, sorry, this is where this officer is. Sorry, that is where this gentleman is being taken to. I just want to show you, as our video journalist showing you now, this suspect being taken to Roodepoort police station. Tulo Monare is just next to the van. We will just monitor the situation. This is the first arrest of the police. I can see there's someone else there. He is refusing, as you can see, he is refusing to get.
All right, we seem to have lost the sound there from Calvin Zudla, but we are going to, of course, stay here on these visuals. In breaking news, one person has now been arrested following those violent protests in Tshepisong township west of Johannesburg. If you've just joined us, we are giving you that rolling coverage of the standoff between police officers and residents in that area. It is a breaking news story of the day here at the SABC News Channel. Our reporter, of course, on the ground, Calvin Zudla, and video journalist Tolo Monare on the ground, as the situation seems to be volatile at this moment. But it does seem at the moment that the police have gained control with that one arrest. But let's see if we can listen in to Calvin. Calvin, we have your sound back now. But earlier on, Calvin Zudla, of course, telling us that not too long ago, city power officials were actually on the ground there, sent to remove illegal electricity connections. City power had decided to cut off electricity to Tshepisong township. That's the township that we are currently reporting from. That's west of Johannesburg, following those threats against its technicians who were there to remove those illegal electricity. We understand that's when the mayhem began. We understand reports of residents pelting vehicles, as you can see there on that main road, with stones and about to perhaps do the similar scenes that we saw earlier on in this week on Monday, when residents in Tembisa went on the streets protesting over high electricity tariffs. You will recall, of course, the roads in Tembisa, of course, were also blocked with debris, with stones, with burning tires. The situation there, of course, was as a result of controversial electricity tariff hikes that were introduced by the city of Ekurhuleni, prompting then Ekurhuleni Mayor Dr. Kakaza to call that emergency meeting, you will recall, to finalize a report on those potential remedies. At this point in time, we know that in this situation, there are no officials from the city necessarily, but Calvin is monitoring that, just police officers at the moment. So, but we do know that in these latest protests, one person, as we understand it, has been arrested. Calvin, if you can hear us, give us a sense of what's happening now. Has the situation relatively calmed?
Unati, thank you very much. As you have heard, you mentioned that one suspect was arrested. That happened while we were live on a young gentleman, a 19-year-old young gentleman, telling us that he was part of those who were protesting for electricity. Now, when police officers chased the protesters, they managed to grab him, and he was handcuffed and he was arrested. I spoke to the officer and the officer told me that they are taking this young boy to the nearest police station. That would be your Roodepoort police station. The police officer did not want to reveal much because, as I have mentioned earlier, they are not allowed to talk or engage with the media. The South African Police Service have a communications unit. So, but I can confirm now that that was the first arrest. A protester, a young boy, a 19-year-old boy, was arrested by the members of the South African Police Service, and he has been taken to the nearest police station. I tried to ask the police officer about the charges. He didn't want to explain more, but now the situation, as you can see now, is becoming more calmer. The reason why, Unati, the situation is becoming more calmer in this area of Tshepisong is because more officers, especially from those of South African Police Service, have been deployed. As you can see, in Inyala from the JMPD, that shows you that law enforcers are being deployed in this area, a public order policing unit, to be more specific, Unati. So this tells you that the police officers will take more time in this area, monitoring this area. As I have said earlier, that they told us that they are going to be around this area for a very long time, monitoring the situation. Unati.
Right, Calvin, of course, as we continue to give our viewers a sense of what's happening on the ground in Tshepisong, I'm now joined by Thembekile Mkhototo. Of course, Thembekile, we've been essentially staying on these visuals in Tshepisong township, west of Johannesburg. I mean, dramatic scenes there. In breaking news, of course, one person has now been arrested following those violent protests. And again, Thembekile, we are seeing community members, you know, just protesting over the same issues. If it's not water, it is electricity, as we are hearing there from Calvin. This time around, of course, being those electricity concerns from those, you know, community members up in arms at the moment.
That's right, Donati. Good evening to you and to the SABC viewers. As we look at these pictures of this road, it looks like a main road going in and out of Tshepisong Township. I think it's worth also just giving more context to what's gone on here. This is a community that says they've been without electricity since last Friday. Frustration boiling over earlier this afternoon, people saying that they've had no power, and it's been so disruptive that children have not gone to school. In some cases, people who run businesses in the community where they would need electricity, they are now out of pocket because they simply cannot afford to run their operations. In fact, one of the men who was interviewed earlier said, when asked, why are you out protesting today? He said, this appears to be the language that the authorities understand. And the demand at the time was that they wanted city power to come to them to explain why it's taken so long to resolve the power issue. I think they were given a date of the 5th of August as to when it's likely going to be resolved. But as things stand, many people now coming back from work, and it appears from the swell that we saw in the numbers, at least in the last half an hour, that those who are maybe returning from work, etc., are joining in the demonstration. So likely a long night for police. JMPD also on the scene in Tshepisong.
Absolutely, Thembekile. I want to go back to that point that you're raising about concerns from community members saying that this is the language that authorities know, the language of violence, people actually having to go onto the streets, you know, to voice some of their deepest concerns. And we've heard there earlier on from Calvin Lula that more police officers have now been deployed to the scene following those protests. What is of concern, of course, are where are the authorities, particularly what you want to see are city officials, not necessarily city power, because I would imagine that was the point of contestation when those city power officials descended at that township saying that they want to then cut off electricity because of illegal connections. I mean, a lot of people might wonder, why are we here? Well, if you look at the situation in terms of tariffs here in South Africa, they've just gone up tremendously, and it's just difficult to pay for basic electricity, particularly when you add on those tariffs.
Right, and It's a recurring problem. You mentioned illegal electricity connections. That's been an issue in Johannesburg. Even Eskom, for example, in the conversations about load shedding, we know there's load reduction, right? Which, according to Eskom, is meant to deal with communities where there's a high concentration of the illegal connections. But it becomes a double-edged sword when even people who are paying, whether prepaid or on a monthly basis, are also affected.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been having conversations with Salga, particularly following that protest in Tembisa, where, of course, you saw again hundreds of people descending onto the roads and just causing mayhem. And Salga essentially saying that municipalities cannot keep up. And so what you are currently seeing is that a lot of the time, community members have to absorb those high costs. I mean, just this year, on the 1st of April 2025, those Eskom retail tariffs and structural adjustments for 2025 were seen. And we're talking about here a price increase of 12.74%. That's over and above other increases that we've seen in the past few weeks and months or so. So it just becomes very, very difficult at this point for consumers to be able to catch up. You mentioned load reduction. I mean, one of the things that we know is that we haven't seen, load shedding in a while, but a lot of people have actually been complaining about power cuts. So you stop the load shedding, you continue with the load reduction, you continue with the power cuts.
So it feels like one and the same. And you were talking earlier about the presence of leadership. We've only seen law enforcement responding to the situation in Tshepisong. In Monday, when we were reporting on what was supposed to be or framed as a shutdown in Tembisa, the mayor had come out a few hours into those demonstrations, addressed the people. And interestingly, he then encourage them to basically sign a petition of some kind to try and have the fixed charge reversed. It'll be interesting to see what the political reaction will be to the situation in Tshepisong and who will actually go to the scene and speak to the people, because that has been one of their demands, that someone come to address them directly.
All right, let's see if Calvin Adlula can hear us now. Calvin, if you can hear us, I mean, it is starting to become darker there. Can you tell us what you have at the moment? We know, of course, early on we saw that one person was arrested following those protests.
Yes, Unati, as you can see now, it's becoming more darker. That is why our video journalists have decided to switch on the lights. But I have a lady here who was one of the protesters. She will be able to explain more on why they have decided to barricade the roads and why they have decided to react the way they have reacted. Sabona Sisi, thank you very much for your time. I know the situation is very hectic in this place. You can tell us now, you have reacted by barricading roads. Why did you decide to do that?
Firstly, because of Harena Motlakas, and it's been long. It's been quite long without electricity. And then now, Bare City Power has suspended their services to us because of Bare. There's too much load and wara. But honestly, what's life without electricity? No, Yana. Kids when they have to go to school. Kids when they have to go. No, Yana, bana ha batla milo ba sekolo. They wake up ba tlhape ka metsi a batang, and then they expect yang go ba motivate ge go ya sekolo. Ka mo le rona small business operators, we have to make sure the drink di a bata di nama di a bata mo freezing for the custom. How are we going to be able to keep up to that?
Okay, for our 404 viewers, this lady is saying that they are struggling now because there's no electricity, saying that it's difficult to bath their children with cold water, saying that it's difficult even for small businesses to operate in this area because there is no electricity. She is speaking. So now tell me, where to from here?
Sosa because of still strike. This is our second strike. Last week we strike. What la weekend and then what's so Sosa up until the Lozarona by the Utah.
Okay, she is continuing by saying that they are not going anywhere. They are still going to protest, saying that Basazo is Sosa Mama. So this is the only way that you have decided to deal with the situation. Did you engage your ward councillor? Did you engage the city power or any authority?
Yes, we did. And in fact, today, Nikonale strike is a community. There were 3 councillors that were supposed to be there. Only one came. Councillor Yamo Tshepisong, which is McDonald. And then Rona, our councillor, is just sitting there.
Ikai councillor Luna.
We've been trying to reach out to him. He's not responding. He just told us today meeting, and then he sent another message. Are the meeting has been cancelled. He didn't pitch. We were attended by only one councillor. He's somewhere there kumatole. He's not even responding. Le WhatsApp, group chat. I'm sure they know but still, he's not even attending.
Okay, that this lady is saying that they have tried by all means to engage their ward councillor. Unfortunately, their ward councillor is nowhere to be found. They're saying that they are experiencing a lot of problems here, but their ward councillor is not here. That is one of the problems here. You would understand that in most cases when situations like this arise, the community members will tell you that ward councillors are nowhere to be found. So sisintsheleke njengoba senilana anicabangini ukuthi nizolumala ngoba manje ngiyabona badubula ngama-rubber bullets nani nibajikijela ngamatshe anibona ukuthi nizolimala.
Rimasole re tlo lwela up until re thola a feedback or anything go shaken up or something, because of just by sitting at home I never retole to re tlo ema mo until ba chaser ra isusa vie.
She's saying that they will act like soldiers. They are not going anywhere. They will be strong, saying that they want the situation to become better. They will stay here up until when?
Up until by sort out this matter.
City Power is saying that they were here, and now the problem is that abantu babo, they were abducted by the community, saying that it's not safe for their officials to be here.
That's not true. That's not true. Lego meeting in Ibuatabe, abduction and stuff. That's not true.
It's a hard. It's a hard.
It's just that Batabahutlamona, because of they know that we're going to act. They have suspended their services. So service who's gonna service us? We must just relax. How are we supposed to respond to the interviews? The phone will offer, life without electricity.
This lady is continuing speaking Isisutu Unati, saying that it's difficult for them because now it's more darker. Criminal activities are taking place here. Criminals are taking advantage, saying that their phones are off. It's difficult even to get calls for interviews, and now they are missing interviews, saying that they just want the situation to be better. Mama, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This lady is one of the protesters, Unati. She has been engaging SABC News, explaining more about the situation here, saying that they have been here since from the morning, saying that Tembegile, it's difficult for them to maneuver around, saying that they will still be here up until midnight. She is speaking Isisutu, saying that they will act or they will react like soldiers. They are not going anywhere up until the situation is resolved.